Oh, hello everybody, this is Peter with GoodyReader.com and the casual stream of videos including the 2E Elipsa, not the first one, continues. But guess what? We have the first one in the same shot. This is the first gen Elipsa, this is second gen. Now, because these are very similar devices, we're going to go over a few things. We are going to go over the pens, the body construction, the latency, how fast each one of them is, and then of course some speed tests when it comes to, well, there's no videos or anything, but we can definitely find some speed tests like turning pages and stuff like that. First, let's talk about the pens. The pens are drastically different. Let's get these guys out of here. Let's get some white space. Perfect. Now, the pens are drastically different. This pen has traditional first gen. This one belonged with the first generation pen. It features a quadruple A battery at the back, which is very inconvenient because what that means is you are now responsible for the consumables of the power and the tips. Granted, these tips don't wear out that fast and they are kind of plasticky, but they will wear out all the same. I must mention that this has a little bit of flex to it. There's about a 1mm gap and it does flex when you push it down on a surface, so it gives you a little bit of sense of realism when you hold it. There's no eraser at the back because you have secondary and tertiary buttons right here for highlight and eraser right there. The new pen by Kobos Rakuten for the second gen has a USB-C port, the only pen of its kind that charges via USB-C. The eraser has been relocated to the back, works very well, and the highlight button is still on the side. This tip is much harder and it is replaceable, but it is a little bit more expensive and it doesn't flex. It's a very hard plasticky feel, and unfortunately it resembles more of like an Apple Pencil or Huawei M Pen, and it's not very realistic when you're drawing with it. Also, the length of the pens are pretty significantly different. It's about an inch longer for the second gen pen. Now for the bodies of the devices themselves. We will have the Elipsa 1 on the left for the whole video and the Elipsa 2E on the right. If you look at the backing, the one has a very smooth back. It is just a piece of plastic, no design whatsoever. It's kind of a midnight blue look to it, and you have these rubber stoppers to prevent the device from sliding around. On the 2E, they employ some 45-degree angle kind of lines, which is very nice, and what that means basically is less of your fingers actually touch the surface, so it doesn't really leave fingerprints. Also, the logo is smooth here, and the logo is embossed over here. Now, we must mention that the 2E features over 85% recycled plastics in the body construction and recycled magnesium utilized in the components on the inside. Overall, the tooling is exactly the same because, as you see right here, the ports are exactly the same. There's right there the USB-C, the status indicator light, and the power button. I must mention, I do appreciate that the power button has been changed a little bit because on the first gen, it's very smooth. It's kind of hard to find. Whereas on the second gen, they've added a bunch of little lines so you can feel it out and know exactly where the button is on the side. That's the body construction in a nutshell. Now going into the device itself, we have home, books, notebooks, Discover, and more. They're roughly the same except for a little couple tweaks here and there. And yes, you can use either pen on either unit. I'm not left-handed, nor am I ambidextrous, so it's going to be a little bit hard to do both of these like that. But both the pens work on both of them. You can see the store access is exactly the same because the store is going to be the store, and you have a few different things here the way it looks. You have Dropbox, articles, activity, etc., beta features, but you also have the scaling of everything a little bit different. If we go into settings, you will see the following settings. If you go into the About, you will notice that both of these, the first and second gen, are still made by Netronics in Taiwan, although the unit is made in a completely different country in China. The only other thing different in the settings is syncing and updates. This one actually has Sync My Notebooks, automatically back up your notes to Kobo during sync so you don't lose them. This one doesn't specifically have that listed under this section. The basic notebooks are a little bit different as well, and yes, the one is fully updated to the latest model, so you'll see that a few things are different here. If we tap this, that's pretty much the same, but you actually have a glow light button here, whereas you don't have it on this one. You actually have to go back over here and then click the glow light. And of course, there's no warm light on this unit. It is just the regular brightness that is just up and down. This one is pretty much the exact same, but you can do that moonlight to really change it, and that's the Comfort Light Pro that allows you to balance it like so. Going back into here, you'll notice that the pens are roughly the exact same and the exact same order, and pretty much looks identical. Erasers as well. If we go over to erasers, let's see what we have here. Object and brush. Now it gets different because you have a lasso tool here. Oh, sorry, I have to go to here. So if we draw that, we get the selector tool. We can go like that, grab it, and then move it around and stamp it and delete it. We don't have that on this one. In fact, even if you go here, there's no settings for it. Although if you do click the drop down, it's the exact same at that point. So even if you go to export, you'll see it has this page, full notebook, etc. So really the only changes are the addition of the quick key for the glow light and the selector tool. Now we're over on the advanced section again with both of these side by side, and you will see they drop the glow light yet again. So you don't have the glow light option, although everything else is pretty much the same, except for when you go to here, you notice there's 4 things there: drawing, diagram, math equation, freeform section, same as here, but you're missing something. What is it? Line spacing. So on the first gen, it's a little bit tight to write within the lines like that. Yes, you can double tap to convert, same as here. On the 2E, you can click on line spacing and make them wider, and by doing this, it's going to spread it out a little bit so you get almost double the amount of height in between each line, and that really helps because now you don't have to struggle to write really tightly like that. You can write much larger, and they do still do handwriting recognition. So what we're going to do is change this back to default, so it's pretty much the exact same. We're going to write the same thing on both of these. I'll just use the same pen. I'll use the 2nd gen pen. I'll just write hi there, and then we're going to double tap at the exact same time and see who wins. Alright, we are going to double tap both of these and see which one is the victor. So they pretty much did it at the exact same speed. This one just justified it up. Double tapping gives you a little pop-up because we just cracked this one open. It's pretty much the exact same speed when it comes to that. The differences are negligible. I would say the 2E is a moment faster, but not by a massive margin. Let's do a math equation on both of these, and we're going to do the most difficult math equation possible on both of these, which is also one of the most famous. I think we all know it. 2 plus 2 equals. I don't really know any additional math questions. So, let's see what happens with a mathematics equation that would blow your mind. So yeah, this is it's clearly faster, sure, but the clearness wouldn't mean that you just push this to the side and this remains as an electronic waste special. I mean, they're both right on track with each other, but I would have to say, yes, the processings on this one does trigger a little bit quicker. Now let's go to a freeform section, and what we're going to do there, I'm going to insert a drawing, which allows us to basically draw freely within a square here. That is a very small square, but it's the same thing. Let's see the pen latency, and to keep this completely fair, we're only going to use this same pen on both. You will see that's a tremendous amount of delay. The pen gets to the very end before the line even starts. That is significantly faster. That is much different. That is a clear winner to the extent that it's not even close. That is so quick. Whereas on here, you get a massive delay. Let's delete all those. Try again. Look at that. You almost get a lag. Doesn't even start writing until you reach the end. Let's try the other pen, just for the sake of fairness. Oh yeah, there's no delay in latency there. Let's see this. Oh yeah, same kind of thing. Yeah, the processing of the double tap when it triggers things like mathematic equations, handwriting, text conversion. That is of not really that wide of a margin, but the latency of the pens itself, it's not even close. The first gen is just a paltry speed. This is significantly quicker. But let's see outside of the note-taking section, because they're identical. How does this work with, say, beta features browsing the web is what we really want to see here. So we're going to start the web browser on both of these and head over to, oh, that even timed out the network for some reason. This one didn't. goodereader.com. I'm going to type on the first one first and then on the 2e. Neither of them missed any characters. To their credit, they're both... the input is fine. This was more accurate. It kind of didn't leave behind as many kind of squares as you were typing. Let's press go at the exact same time. Have not visited the website on either of these two devices. See what happens. Same Wi-Fi network. This is loading significantly quicker than that. They're not very fast devices in and of themselves. They should have loaded by now, and actually now that's beating this. It's kind of all over the map here. That's why it's a beta feature, I guess, because it's not exactly the most stable thing in the world, which is why Amazon and Kobo leaves them as experimental and beta features, etc. But you'll see, now that we're back, let's do some navigating. Doesn't have a system-wide A2 mode, so we're just going to have to be faced with what we have here. Okay, so that took a little bit of time to get into some sort of mode that I can usably move it around, and I would say that's actually pretty terrible. That's awful. That is taking forever. It is not accurate. It is not following my finger to a very accurate degree. Whereas this is. It's blurry, but I have absolutely no problem knowing where I am on the page. Now for some pinch and zooms on the 2E, here is a pinch and zoom. That took 5 seconds. That was pretty bad. Now a pinch and zoom on the 1. Yeah, both of these are awful at pinching and zooming. Why would you want a device that takes 5 seconds to pinch and zoom? You do have a slider bar at the bottom that handles your zoom level, but the gesture support of having a pinch and zoom on a device, awful. It's still, I don't even know, I triggered it. I don't know if it's done it already, or if it's thinking about doing it. There it is. So that took another couple seconds and 2 attempts at doing so. Let's see how long the number 1 takes at doing this. Again, I don't know if it's processing. There's no wheel or anything. I'll have to utilize the slider bar to bring it back down. And that seemed to have done it. So neither of these two are very good at web browsing in any capacity, but you can see very clearly here the 2E is a absolute night and day difference when it comes to at least scrolling on a page. Finally, of course, this is Good eReader, so we have to show you an e-book. How does this look when you turn pages? It's pretty much the exact same thing. I would say this does it a microsecond quicker than the first gen, but we're not seeing any immersion break here. So I'm not waiting for this to catch up. I don't swipe and then a wheel pops up and says, please wait. That's not what's happening here. In fact, whether you tap or you go back, that's an adequate page turn speed for a device that does not have speed modes. This is quicker, it is much quicker, but it's not going to make you say, oh, I need this because it's faster. This is what a book looks like. You read the book, when you get to the very bottom, you go like that. You're not flipping through pages at an absolute rapid pace. You may, but that's not typically how you handle a book. It's the same thing on this. Look, I've reached the very end, swipe the page, and start at the top. It's not that big of a deal. But in the end, what are the differences between these? Well, you do have a little bit of a hardware change. You get a better pen, that's a subjective thing. I think the first gen pen would have been better with the tips, but a USB port, but that's just the reality of the situation. You get a different pen, and you get recyclable materials. Now, note that this is $400 USD, and you can buy these for about $300 USD, so the gap is not massively different. It's not like you're acquiring these for $120 now that it is an older generation. They're still quite close in overall price points. You can no longer buy this directly from Kobo Rakuten depending on where you live. You might find it on the second turn Rakuten Marketplace in Japan, for example, or eBay or Yahoo Auctions or Amazon, but for now, this is the one that they are selling. This one has the recycled materials. This one is faster. You're not going to feel that speed when you're reading books or you're converting things on your notebooks. It's not really that different, but when it comes to latency, it's much quicker to write on this. It's much quicker to browse the internet, and it's just overall better for the environment to have more recycled materials rather than fresh spools of plastics and resins and all the things that go into this that they have to build from the ground up. That's not to say every single thing in the Kobo lineup is recyclable, because it is not. So that's the reality of the situation, everybody. For 100 Bobos more, you get this unit on the right that has a lot more power behind it. Same 32 gig setup, so you're not going to be able to get a higher model or even expand the storage. If you guys have any questions, leave it down below. For now, this is Peter from GoodyReader.com.